Human. The throne room of the Zathrine Imperial warship fell silent as Queen Zaritha received the transmission. Her 4 eyes narrowed, bioluminescent patterns flickering across her chitinous face in patterns of grief. The holographic display showed the debris field where her daughter's scout ship had been destroyed by human forces 3 cycles ago. Commander Melissa, Princess Melissa of the Zathrine, was gone. "Your Majesty," the communications officer chittered nervously, "we've detected an unauthorized vessel approaching the fleet. It's transmitting Princess Melissa's personal code." The Queen's massive form rose from her throne, her 6 limbs trembling. "Impossible. I saw the destruction footage myself. There were no survivors." "The code is authentic, my Queen. They're requesting permission to dock." Zaritha's mind raced through possibilities. A human trick. A ghost. She had already begun preparing the funeral rites, had already sent word across the empire that her eldest daughter, her heir, had fallen to the barbaric humans who refused to surrender their insignificant planet. "Grant them permission," she commanded, her voice resonating through the chamber. "But full military escort. If this is deception, I will personally tear apart whoever dares mock my grief." 20 minutes later, the airlock hissed open. Queen Zaritha stood surrounded by her royal guard, weapons charged, ready for anything. Anything except what emerged. Princess Melissa stepped through the airlock, alive and whole. Her blue chitinous armor bore scars and burns, but she moved with strength. Behind her walked a human, a male, young, with dark hair and cautious eyes. He wore a patched human military uniform and carried no visible weapons. "Mother," Melissa said, dropping to one knee in the traditional gesture of respect. The Queen stared, frozen between joy and confusion. Then her maternal instincts overwhelmed protocol, and she rushed forward, her massive form enveloping her daughter in an embrace that would have crushed most beings. "My child, how? The battle reports the debris." "We're real, Mother," Melissa said quietly. "My ship was destroyed. I should have died in the void of space." Zaritha released her daughter and turned her attention to the human, who had wisely remained still during the reunion. Her eyes narrowed dangerously. "And this creature?" "This is Daniel," Melissa said, stepping beside the human in a gesture that shocked everyone present. "He saved my life." The throne room erupted in shocked chittering. A human, saving a Zathrine princess. The Queen raised one clawed hand for silence. "Explain." Melissa straightened. "After the battle, my escape pod malfunctioned. I was drifting, systems failing, oxygen depleting. By all calculations, I had perhaps 2 hours before death. Then a small human vessel found me." "And he didn't kill you?" the Queen asked, her voice dripping with skepticism. "We've been at war with these humans for 6 months. They've shown no mercy to our forces." "He could have," Melissa admitted. "His ship was damaged too. He was fleeing the same battle. When he scanned my pod and saw I was alive, he helped." Daniel finally spoke, his voice steady despite being surrounded by aliens who wanted his species extinct. "My medical scanner showed she was suffocating. I couldn't just leave her to die." "You should speak when spoken to, human," one of the guards hissed. "Let him speak," the Queen commanded, studying the small creature with new interest. "You pulled an enemy soldier from space. Why?" Daniel met her gaze without flinching, and Zaritha felt a flash of surprise. Most beings couldn't hold eye contact with a Zathrine queen. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said simply. "War or no war, I'm a doctor. I took an oath." "An oath," the Queen repeated. "Your species bombs our colonies, destroys our ships, kills thousands of our soldiers. But you have oaths about saving lives." "Yes," Daniel said. "The oath says I help the sick and injured no matter who they are. It doesn't say unless they're the enemy." Melissa continued the story. "His ship was severely damaged. We both knew we couldn't make it back to our respective fleets, so we found a small moon, landed, and survived together." For 3 cycles, the Queen's disbelief was evident. For 3 cycles, Melissa confirmed. The moon had breathable atmosphere but little else. We had to work together, find food, water, shelter, repair communication equipment, and we talked. Talked, Zaritha repeated flatly. Yes, we talked about why we were fighting, about our homes, our families, our worlds. Mother, do you know why humans resist us so fiercely? Because they're primitive and stubborn, the Queen said, echoing the official imperial position. No, Melissa said quietly, because we never asked. We arrived in their solar system, declared it ours by right of discovery, and expected them to submit. We never considered that they might have a reason to fight. The throne room fell deathly silent. Questioning the war was dangerous, even for a princess. Daniel told me about Earth, Melissa continued, her voice growing passionate. It's their only world, Mother. We have 17 colony planets. They have one. We demanded they surrender their entire solar system, their homeworld, everything they've ever known. What would we do if another species arrived at Zathri Prime and demanded the same? We would fight, the Queen admitted slowly. As they do, Melissa said. But here's what changed everything. Daniel taught me about human medicine. They're technologically inferior to us in weapons, yes, but their medical science. She gestured to her scarred armor. I took wounds that should have been fatal. Daniel treated them with techniques I've never seen. Human doctors have to be creative because their bodies are so fragile. They've developed solutions to problems we never considered. She pressed a data chip into her mother's hand. This contains medical techniques Daniel taught me, techniques that could save thousands of Zathrin lives. He gave this freely, even knowing we're enemies. The Queen examined the chip, then looked at Daniel with new eyes. Why would you do this? Daniel's voice was quiet but firm. Because maybe if you see that we're not just targets, not just obstacles, but people with families and knowledge and worth, maybe this war can end differently than with one of us extinct. You would trust us with your medical knowledge. I trust Melissa, Daniel corrected. She could have killed me a dozen times on that moon. I was injured, weak. She had every tactical reason to eliminate me. Instead, she shared her rations when I was too hurt to hunt. She taught me to use Zathrin salvage equipment to repair my leg. We survived because we cooperated. Queen Zaritha was quiet for a long moment, her bioluminescent patterns shifting through colors that indicated deep thought. My advisors will call this treason, she finally said, looking at her daughter. Perhaps, Melissa agreed. But Mother, I've been to war. I've killed humans in battle, but I've also lived with one, worked with one, learned from one. They're not so different from us. They love their families. They value honor and courage. They're terrified of extinction just as we would be. The Queen turned to her advisors. Leave us, all of you except the princess and the human. When the room cleared, Zaritha descended from her throne and approached Daniel. The human stood his ground, though she could sense his fear. She was 3 times his size, armed, and could kill him with one strike. You saved my daughter's life, she said. Yes, your majesty. For this, you have earned a debt from the crown. I cannot simply let you go. My military would never accept it. But I can offer you safe passage to a neutral station, and I can promise you will not be hunted. Mother, Melissa interjected, there's more. Daniel has proposed something radical. Speak, the Queen commanded. A prisoner exchange, Daniel said. Your forces hold human prisoners. Our forces hold Zathrin prisoners. Let me return to human command with Melissa as an ambassador. Let us propose a temporary ceasefire for humanitarian purposes, medical assistance, prisoner exchanges. Small steps toward talking instead of just fighting. You would trust my daughter among your people. If you trust me here, yes. The Queen laughed, a sound like crystal chimes. You have courage, little human, foolish perhaps, but courage nonetheless. She looked at her daughter. And you would go to Earth, surrounded by those who killed your squadron. I would, Melissa said firmly, because I've learned something on that moon, Mother. The bravest thing a warrior can do isn't always to fight. Sometimes it's to find another way. Queen Zaritha was silent for a long moment, decades of military tradition warring with a mother's joy at her daughter's return, and a leader's responsibility to her people. Very well, she finally said. You will go as an ambassador, but Daniel stays here as my guest, insurance that humans will negotiate in good faith. Mother, non-negotiable, the Queen said firmly, though her tone softened. You ask me to trust humans. Let them trust us with something precious in return. Daniel nodded slowly. I accept those terms. 3 months later, the first joint Zathrine-human medical station opened on a neutral moon. Casualties from both sides received treatment, and prisoners were exchanged in carefully negotiated swaps. The war didn't end overnight. Centuries of distrust couldn't be erased so easily. But in the Queen's throne room, a human doctor taught Zathrine physicians techniques that saved lives, while a Zathrine princess spoke to human delegates about cooperation instead of conquest. And sometimes, late at night, Queen Zaritha would look at the unlikely friendship between her daughter and the human who had saved her life, and wonder if perhaps the universe had more possibilities than she had ever imagined. I hope you enjoy this HFY sci-fi story. The theme emphasizes humanity's compassion and medical knowledge as their strength, which is a classic HFY element.